Okay, welcome everybody. It's Christina Merkley. It is June something. What is it? Of course, my phone doesn't have it. I'm one of those people who never know what date it is, June 4th. And this is the free process groups that I'm running, usually around a weekly basis. And this is, I believe, our 10th or 11th one. Pat's going to put a couple of links into the chat. Obviously, you all found your way here, so you know this particular page. At the bottom of the free process groups page is a library of recordings. There's also the opportunity to do free individual sessions as well. Many of you have done that. That's a way for more in-depth one-to-one on specific issues. When we work in the process group, there's different things you can do in groups than what you can do with individuals. So we just kind of find our way. Each time it's different. And we just find our way about what is, up and presenting itself. A couple more people to admit in here. Let's get them in. Great. Okay, welcome as you're coming in. This is a larger group today, so I'm going to do something a little different. Instead of going through each person and doing some check-ins, I'm just going to leave it for popcorn style, which means you can unmute yourself and pop in. And I suggest we just start with check-ins, reports. Reports means just anything that you kind of want to share. Usually, if you've been here previously, I'll share the emotional scale, which has a whole scale of emotions from the deep so-called lower ones and the high so-called higher ones, right? And everything in between. Everything goes. As a process facilitator and coach, we meet where we are first off, right? Even though I'm called the shifted coach, doesn't mean that we're instantly wanting to shift where you're at, especially given what's happening in the world at large right now. There's a lot of heavy duty stuff happening, and sometimes the best thing we can do is just meet it as it is and take a moment and welcome it. So I'll start with hellos, check-ins, any kinds of reports, and then if there's something in particular you're wanting to quote unquote work, bring that to the fore and we'll just find ourselves in terms of the agenda. If you've been here before, you know that I just kind of pull out of my bag of process tricks about what I think will work. I don't know, right? Every time I just come with the Zen kind of open approach to see what emerges, and then we find our way, something shows, and some sort of process seems the appropriate one to do. So I'll see as we go along, and you check in and share what emerges, and we'll work with that. Okay, anybody who wants to say hello, check in, bring anything forward to work, now's the time.
Hi, Christina. Pauline from Edmonton, Canada. I'm coming frustrated by media and just sad. Sad for and feeling for my fellow humans.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay, understandably. Okay, just putting the frustrated by media down. Might be something for us to enter into. Okay, thank you. Who's next?
Hi, Christina. Sharon here.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, everybody. This is my second one. And I'm so grateful that this is happening. I, too, am incredibly saddened by what's going on in the world. In my personal world, I have kind of moved out of the dark place. And I'm going to milk that for all it's worth, because I need some light in my life. I have a question that I don't know if this is a good place to work it, but we can see. And that is, what is my elder purpose?
And you have a private with me later today, so that's going to be a good one to work there. Okay, excellent. Thanks.
Hi, this is Paula. I'll check in.
Paula.
I just wanted to say that I used to talk to my twin sister every morning. We had like a daily rhythm. And when shelter in place started, all her family came back, and she can't really talk on the phone anymore, anyway, so I don't talk to her anymore so much. And you know, I understand, but it's hard. It feels like I lost my best friend, along with, not completely, of course, but I miss talking to her. And I just notice it sometimes, like I notice it today, like I would, and it's just, she's not available, and I miss her.
Well, we're glad you're here. We're not your sister, but we can be some people to connect with.
Thanks.
Thanks, Paula. And we'll see what emerges here. Go right ahead, please. Thanks, Susanna. Yeah, no, good.
So I'm Susanna. Hi, everyone. I haven't been able to make one of the pop-ups in a while, and my soul was really missing it. Yesterday, I was probably in the despair, sadness end of the spectrum. And this morning, I woke up going, okay, what do I do? What do I do? And I was like, right, there's a pop-up today. And I cleared my schedule so I could be here and just connect, because I think I just needed to connect with other people that are thinking, processing, having honest conversations. So just grateful, and just already feeling a little bit higher on that spectrum. But yeah, yesterday was pretty bleak for me. So thanks.
Okay, hon. Thanks for the check-in. Who else? Anybody else want to say hello? Bring something forward?
Hi, this is Donna, and I just want to agree with Susanna. Just, you know, just so much stuff, and, you know, sort of feeling a little overwhelmed, and just knew this is kind of really really glad this was happening, and knew this is where I needed to be.
Okay, hon. Thanks. Yeah.
Hi, it's Connie.
Hi, Connie.
I've been trying to make these pop-ups, but I just haven't been able to. And it was a clear my schedule day and try to do this and take a deep breath. And I'm in a place where I need to process the anger. I'm a community leader, and if I show the anger outside of my home, it will be bad.
Yeah.
People are starting to call and say, what can I do? And I'm slow to come up with, sometimes I can come up with answers, but sometimes I just want a place to process my anger too.
Yeah, to be you as a human being, not the leader. Yeah, excellent. I'm glad you're here. Ooh, good stuff. Powerful stuff to do, processing wise. Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jude. And I've been coming to these pop-ups for a while now, and I share other people's frustration and sense of sadness and overwhelm. I've been having conversations this week with some police officers that live in my neighborhood who are Hispanic and African American. And I've been asking them questions about, you know, how are you doing with all of this anger that's being directed at the police, and rightfully so. And what I've been hearing is that they're equally angered by what some police officers are doing, and yet that anger is being directed at them, and they don't know how to hold it and what to do with it. And I feel some of that too as a white person, that that trying to figure out how do I hold space for the anger that I have towards white people and towards the history of racism that we have here in the US and in other places. And so I came today to kind of figure out how to keep sitting with that without letting it be immobilizing. You know, how to turn the energy of my anger and the anger that's being directed at our racist culture, and turn that into something that can be more hopeful and positive, and, you know, kind of transform that energy into, okay, finally, we can maybe change some of this. So, I'm coming with that kind of wellspring of sadness and anger and frustration, but also looking for some hopefulness about, okay, finally, maybe this is that turning point where we can affect change.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Jude. Welcome. There's a couple more who want to speak. Let's do that. Got lots on my list, so lots of potential places to go, but I just want to leave it open if there's anybody else who wants to check in or report or say hello. Going once, going twice. Okay. Koala wants to get in here. Can you get yourself unmuted?
I was about to be like, oh no, I missed it. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
Holiday. I'm phoning in from Portland. Thank you guys. West Coast Portland, US. Just really grateful to be here in a safe space to and process. I've also been meaning to come, and just somehow I'm glad that it has persisted. And thank you everybody for showing up and being real, and it just felt kind of like the realness, dropping into the realness was a relief. I think I'm personally in a little bit of like an empath overwhelm place of like feeling so many feelings.
Yeah.
But also, I think I feel like the piece I'm holding is like the trauma space, and feeling a bit like there's all these marginalized, split off, fragmented portions of our collective soul, and everybody needs space and support and witness and healing, and just kind of really glad all the parts of the one self are kind of coming home, and you know, it's a beautiful process ultimately. And I also know all that anger, all that pain, all that witnessing that needs to happen. I think I'm on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh boy, this is good, but wow, it's a lot. So kind of on that. Just glad to be here and hear what's up for others too.
Okay, awesome, Holly Mae. Nice to see you. Thank you for your check-in. Yeah, just a quick process check side on things. Given the emotional nature of the group, it's important for me as the host just to protect for Zoom bomber effect, to make sure people are who they are. So people who have their videos off at the moment, could I just ask you to flash them on fast? If you want to leave them off, that's fine, but I just need to identify you. Great, okay. Welcome. And okay, good. You're all legit people, and I know you. Excellent, thank you. Feel free to leave them on or turn them off, whatever you care to at this point, but okay. So I want to start with the anger. Connie, if you're willing for us to hold space for you, I just think it's so important for you to have a safe container. And I also think this is just very powerful in terms of witnessing and holding space and educational as well. So if you're up for that, I'd like to start with you. Before we start, I would like to do a little tutorial on a couple of ways to somatically and energetically process, because as we go along and work with people, sometimes it's intense, and especially today it's going to be intense. So I want to offer people, when we hit different kinds of emotions, us as human beings in our nervous systems, we're going to have just natural reactions, right? When we hit into anger and we hit into despair and all these different things, we already are there. But when people start to tap into what's authentic for them, and especially if it has an intensity, it can affect our nervous systems. And you can also help process it for the person, for yourself, and for the collective by doing some of these techniques. I offer them on the coffee table. You certainly don't need to do them if they're not comfortable for you. Those of you who've been through my practical energy work, you're going to be very familiar with these. So there's two. One is just general tapping. And so you can cup your hands, and we have 3 brains. So you can cup and tap your head, and that's the brain, the mind. And you can lightly with your fingertips tap the heart. And you can also go down lower into the belly and tap the gut. Okay, so head, heart, gut. That's one way, very simple for processing, right? Same thing if you're interacting with somebody by the phone or watching stuff on the news and it's just really impacting, instead of going into holding it, right, to help it flow and try to stay present with it, is the tapping. One in particular, if you want to just, you know, just the heart is particularly powerful. Just to and even just holding the heart, right? As opposed to that, sometimes the tapping gets a little too intense, so just hold the heart. Another one for processing, and we'll probably do this at the beginning and the end, so I'll walk you through this right now. And at the end, after we process and work with people, we'll probably do it to help clear the field. And this one is called Cortices. So you take your hand and you put it at the nape of your neck where the skull joins the neck, and you start there, you cup it, and then you do that tapping I just taught you, which is head, heart, and gut. And you do 2 rounds, head, heart, and gut. And then what you do is you keep moving this hand around the head. So you move it up a handprint, repeat. When you have time, if you're new to this, when you have time to do this quietly and on your own, you can probably more subtly feel the shifts that happen. But you may even notice, if you're new to this with doing this today, you may notice how this helps to process the system and balance. We're balancing left and right hemispheres, and we're connecting into just different aspects of the body, mind, and spirit here. It's not unusual. You start to see some settling happening, some breaths happening, some yawns happening, shoulders coming down, just depending on how you particularly hold your tension. I like to go right over the eyes because, you know, it helps us enter into the non-physical energetic world of things, get inside of ourselves and into the greater being. And then to follow it off, to end it, you take your 2 hands, and even with headsets you can do it, just kind of wrap them around your head, either side of the head above the ears, and just focus deep, deep inside to your limbic brain, that little reptilian inside. You're basically saying, you're okay, I got you, you're safe. That was then, this is now. Because a lot of what happens in the now is we get stirred up from the past too, right? Although we're understandably stirred up in the now. Okay, so those are just some options while I'm working with people and processing. You'll be parallel processing. Different things might be happening for you, so you can help process through your own system. And by doing this, it's something we can do, right? And holding space and witnessing is to help process it through. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. I think we're just gonna go for inquiry, which is meeting what is, Connie. And I'm just going to get my setup here. Now, what you just brought forward was anger. And that might be the first thing that you connect into, or it might be something else, and we eventually find ourselves there. So I'm just going to invite you. I'm just going to pin your video because I can really see you. Here we go. So I'm just going to invite you and all of us. You can tap, take a couple of deep breaths, but I just want you, and for me, when I'm trying to focus in on myself, as I'm doing right now, I will close my eyes. You don't have to. You can close your eyes, have them open, focus on the spot, do whatever is right for you. But I just want to invite you to just get in there with yourself. Try to shake off anything that was happening in our preamble and everything, and to just be here in this moment, to just meet this moment. So as you settle into yourself, I'm going to be taking the notes. You're welcome to open up your eyes, go do whatever you need to do. But what presents itself as you kind of settle into yourself? What's the first thing that you connect with? What do you notice?
Well, the first thing, of course, I've been dealing with is my own personal privilege. And, this is not about me. But having said that, you still live in a country where you wake up every day worried about your brother, worried about your father.
So I'm going to stop. I'm going to slow you down.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing I'm hearing is aware of my own privilege. I'm just going to write
my
that down.
God, yes.
Yeah. So as I'm writing it down, I just want you, in a way, to welcome it, right? This
Okay.
is welcoming everything. So just welcome that thought, that focus of I'm aware of my own privilege, and just be with it a moment. Anybody else who relates to this? Same thing. I always spell privilege wrong, but I don't have the spell checker here. That's not probably a good sign. Aware of my own privilege. Welcome it. Well, ways of welcoming it is you can literally bow to it. You can say, privilege, you are welcome here. I see you, privilege. You're welcome here. Also, since this is a thought, this is mind, right? The mind is going there. The mind is going to, but I have a lot of privilege here. This isn't about me. That's the mind saying that. So we also want to be aware of mind. Mind, oh, hello, mind. Thank you. You are welcome here. Because a lot of us have really super overdeveloped minds, which is good. They get us through the world, but they're only part of us. So this is a part that's coming up. Before I stopped you, there was another bit that happened that might still be there, but just check as you welcome, and everybody you can parallel process as this lands for you about your own privilege, just welcome it. And it not being about you, welcome it. As you do that, Connie, does anything unfold from here? It doesn't have to. You may just continue to be with this, or just do you notice what it shifts to?
Well, it always shifts to those without privilege. That's
okay.
And,
Good. So go there. That's exactly where we go. So notice next, welcome those without privilege. And bow to that. Welcome that. Pat, can you put the correct, if I've got it wrong, spelling of privilege into the chat? I get my E's and I's wrong. Bonnie, Connie, what's going on for you?
Well, I think, it's about, it's about figuring out how to actually help, how to make, change with meaning. I personally work on a policy and a societal level. Individual change is something you can do. You can help a single person in need. But, my career, my work is about those higher levels. And those higher levels are failing. They are wanting to change the subject. They're hoping this goes away or it fades. They're looking for a quick solution. And I guess I should start by saying, I am really upset about Amy Cooper. And we didn't even get to process that because then we had Minneapolis. So I am still processing Amy Cooper. And and at the same time processing the fact that what a phone call symbolizes is the death of Black people in this country. You are one phone call away from dying, whether you're doing something or whether you're not doing something. And, you know, no one is talking about the Me Too movement and their message of believe women and what Amy Cooper did. And how far she set everything back. You know, we have been for a long time in this country processing anger at white men, but Black people have not been able to process anger at white women. And so it's easy to pivot to Minneapolis and forget
The Karen syndrome.
The Karen syndrome. And what happened there? What really happened as she explained that she understood the whole game. Before COVID, the second to last trip I took was to Mississippi. It was the first time I had been there. And I went to the 2 Mississippi museums, and you are surrounded by the names of everyone they know who was lynched. And how many of those lynches occurred because of a single phone call, or in that case, somebody saying something? How much death and destruction occurs from that? Calling the cops for a $20 bill.
Yeah.
Calling the cops because you don't want to put your dog on a leash. Chasing down a Black man and shooting him and thinking you can do that in this country because he jogged in your neighborhood. And the whole concept of COVID and wearing a mask, you know, and my brother, we were on a call and my brother put on his mask. And I immediately went over to a neighbor and bought masks with flowers and roses, you know, because he had a black mask on in Southern California. And I was like, I do not want him running around with a black mask.
And we all bow to all of that. Every single point that step by step you're flashing through. We welcome it and we thank it. Excellent, Connie.
Hey, and I just want to say to everybody on this call, thank you for giving me the space. And let me put my phone number in the chat in case I trigger you guys and you need to call or something. I mean, you know, we never have enough time for everybody, but it's not, like I said, I bow in my own privilege. I bow in my own privilege.
And that's just something that's next coming up, right? So then next what comes is your concern about us and us getting triggered. So we bow to that and we welcome that. Isn't that amazing? So much so you would give us your phone number. Wow. We welcome that. We bow to that. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. And then see what happens. No rush, just take your time, see what wants to naturally, organically unfold from here. Holding space for you, who holds it for so many people, Connie.
I started out the week going to my cousin's funeral because he passed away from COVID. And one of the things, I mean, this is on Facebook, right? A Facebook funeral. And one of the things, I mean, it's actually an amazing thing. Who would ever broadcast a funeral? You know, that's an amazing thing that because I wouldn't have gone anyway, otherwise. But that's, you know, so we're dealing with the inequality of, he had asthma and he passed away from COVID. So, you know, we're still dealing with this COVID and watching all these protesters who are, you know, most likely going to bring a second wave, you know, and they don't care. They're willing to risk their lives. I'm not. I'm sitting at home, you know, sending checks as fast as I can to, you know, and hoping they make a difference. But, you know, there's the feeling of powerless too. Oh, my cousin, not my brother.
Thank you.
You know, so that was the start of the week.
What a week.
Yeah.
So now we go to your cousin, and then we go to his funeral online, and then we go to watching the TV coverage and the close quarters and no masks and all the what's going to happen with this stuff, because we're apparently still in the middle of a pandemic here. Yeah.
Oh, and Amy Cooper, and this happened on my birthday too. That's the other thing. Tuesday was my birthday. You know, Amy Cooper was Monday. You know, so it's like, oh, so much for COVID celebration. You know. So, you know, it's like, oh my God, hashtag first world problems, hashtag first world problems. As I internalize this, and then I point
That's okay.
out,
So then you go to
it's
hashtag.
not about me. I go back to it's not about me. It's not about me. You know what? Who else it's not about? It's not about Donald Trump. It's not about Donald Trump. Voting in November isn't going to solve this. I mean, it might take one piece of this away. This is about every community. This is about everywhere.
I'm going to slow you down.
Okay, I'm going to stop.
No, you're, yeah, exactly. Yeah, good. So as you go from your cousin's death and your birthday and the online funeral, and then that aspect that pops in that we heard from earlier, right? About, oh, my own privilege, and these are first world privilege, you know, programs, first world problems. Sorry, I wrote it wrong. Just bow to them, bow to that other aspect, right? The rightfully so, enraged, frustrated, angry, grieving aspects, and to the part that pops up saying, oh, these are first world problems, right? Don't feel, shouldn't have this is too much. Probably a coping mechanism. Right? A defense mechanism, a way of getting through the world that has served you very well over time. So we'll just bow to that and recognize that. And then from there, you unfold into Donald Trump. And that is not about you, Donald Trump. So take a moment to be with that. However you would categorize those feelings or reactions or relationship to Donald Trump, and how he's being with what's going on. Then notice what happens for you.
Well, it's not about Barack Obama either.
Okay, great. Now we go to Barack.
You know,
Good.
it's not about them.
Yes. Either side of the spectrum we go. Good. Okay. So Obama.
This is about systemic racism. This isn't about Democrats. It isn't about Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
This is about what's in all of our hearts and how we talk to our children. This, you know. And then if I go back to my privilege, I had it. I finally called the cable company and I got rid of all of it. I saved $60 a month. You know, I just was like, I'm done. I don't need to bring this into my home. So even in my privilege, I'm getting more wealthy. My anger is turning into wealth. It's like hilarious.
And so it was cable. Is that what you canceled? Canceled
Yes,
the cable?
I canceled all these cable channels. I was like, I don't need this in my life. They are so as much a part of the problem.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, Pauline bringing up media earlier. Yes, excellent. Okay, let's tap and welcome that. You're welcome here. This isn't about Republicans. This isn't about Democrats. It's not Barack Obama. It's not Donald Trump. This is about all of us and all of our hearts. This is, you know, and then you go to screw the cable, out of there. And then delighted, saving some coin. Excellent. All welcome, all valid. And see what happens next. Greet what happens next. Pat, there's two in the waiting room.
Oh. Well, what also is happening next is as people are calling, you know, great conversations. Great conversations are being had. Mm-hmm. But there's really a need to quickly figure out how to turn great conversations into action.
Okay, so there's the mind again. So where's the action?
Mind.
Yep. So you just say, thank you, mind. There you are again. Mm-hmm. Understandable mind that you want action, right? The left brain is doing, is linear, is logical, is the mind. That's what it wants. Get it, mind. It's not going to happen the way you want it in this situation, but totally get it that you want it. Thank you, mind. And just see what happens. The mind has a heart too. So just recognizing, I just got the ping to recognize, and the heart has a brain. So the mind with its heart behind that, wanting to get into action is big love. So thank the mind for its care. Thank the mind for its love. Thank it for its desire to figure this out, right? And get into action and fix it now.
Well, part of it is that if the mind doesn't come up with something, then the grief is just what comes.
There you go.
The grief just hangs.
Yeah, so thank that mind, because that mind is trying to protect you from the grief. And mind, we must go there. And thank you for the alert. Now go to the grief. Grief, you're welcome here. Mind has done its best to try to prevent from going and seeing you, but you're here. I see you, grief. I see you.
The problem is I've always lived my life with this. It's okay to worry. It's okay to grieve, but you have to limit it. You can't let it absorb you. You can't let it take over.
Okay, good. So there's the mind again, right?
You're only allowed to worry or fret for a little bit, and then you have to move to action, because otherwise you just spin. So you can, this is like, don't just spin. Don't just lay in bed at night screaming at the ceiling. Don't just figure it out.
So to the mind, we recognize its concern. It's trying to protect you. And it's trying to convince you that if you go into grief, it's going to be all-encompassing and forever and nothing's going to happen. It's not really true, but it's totally understandable that the mind would think that and would put up all sorts of barriers and gets very worried, right? It wants to divert you into worry. You can go do worry, don't do that. And so let's just thank it. We understand its frenetic desire to keep you away from grief. Very understandable. Excellent coping mechanism. It got you through so much in life. You just really want to thank it and appreciate it. And just see what unfolds from there. We don't need to go right into grief if grief isn't emerging, but grief's there, so see what happens.
Grief is always there. Grief is always there.
Yeah. Grief, you are welcome. Grief, I know you are always there.
Grief is one phone call away.
Yeah. It is.
I work at a university, and yesterday some students posted a racist social media piece, and they were suspended before the end of the day. But the role of social media in all of this, the role of social media, the difference between the people who were like, just expel them, get rid of them, and the people who were like, how do we teach them how painful what they did is? Like, what is our responsibility to punish versus teach, which is like a big thing at the university, where honestly these conversations always happen in privilege. Back to privilege. Back to privilege.
That's the mind. So it's another layer of the mind. So we thank it for that. So it takes you to what happened, and it with the social media very recently at your university, it takes you to the whole. There's a polarity here of punish and teach, and then what is the responsibility at the university level, and then it goes back to privilege, right? So that's okay. You just thank it. It's doing its spin. It's worried about the grief spinning, but here's the mind's particular spin. Nothing wrong, just exist, accept it, welcome it, thank it for sharing. Legitimate points. And we've still got grief. So just see what happens as you do that next layer of the mind. You thank it, you appreciate it, and
Well,
let's just take a moment. I'm aware of grief. I can feel it, right?
I'm sorry, and you can't see, I'm just holding my heart. I'm just
Good, 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 good. That's where I went too.
You
And
can't
for
see.
all of us,
I'm sorry,
we're
my
in-
camera, I've got my camera so you guys can't see, but I'm sorry, I'm just holding my
Thank you
heart.
for letting me know. Excellent, excellent. And for all of us, let's hold our hearts. Let's hold that grief and witness and honor a space for Connie to hold and touch into hers. It's okay if the mind does its thing, but grief's there. And Connie, just be with that. Take your time. Bow to it. Bow to grief. Ancient archetypal energy of the human being, of history, of present. Grief. So much to mourn.
So the other thing that is, of course, making me crazy is the whole symbol of St. John's Church, the Bible, Christianity's role in creating this racist society.
Mm-hmm. Good.
The
Good.
whole triangle. The whole triangle. Like,
Meet that. Welcome that. That layer's popping up now. Excellent.
I'm so happy the Robert E. Lee statue is coming out. I had the pleasure of going to the National Cathedral ceremony where they took down the Jackson Lee windows 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was invited. My aunt's on the board of the National Cathedral, and so I got to go to their small ceremony as they took out the windows. And you know, that the idea of having people understand that all of these symbols that came up during the civil rights movement, you know, all of this racist stuff that was put all around the country in defiance of what was happening with civil rights, and how now 50 years later we're we're still debating on taking this stuff down. We're still understanding, and how much of it is attached to Christianity. And I stopped going to church. I stopped going to church during the first Gulf War. I grew up Catholic, and I walked away from the church. I was actually baptized Episcopalian as well as Catholic. So sometimes I go into the Episcopalian Church. St. John's Church and the National Cathedral are the churches I go to when I'm in DC. And just the whole concept of, you know, that's ground zero, you know, for 1619 in this country. Christianity is ground zero.
Yeah, and as you're poking into grief, you're poking into your relationship with the church.
And anger, there's the anger.
Exactly.
There's the anger.
And I would say probably even underneath it is some grief, right?
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
big time.
spirituality.
Big time.
And disappointment in them. And outrage.
Sunday is the most segregated day of the week in America. I don't know that people understand that. Sunday is the most segregated day of the week.
Okay, we're just meeting that. Welcoming that. Sunday is the most segregated day of the week. See what happens as you meet that.
So you have all of these institutions that have that are at the systemic root. You know, I go back to the systems, you know, the systems. Qualified immunity, you know, qualified immunity came out of the civil rights movement. We can't blame cops for sicking dogs on protesters. So we have to assume police are doing their best. We have to protect them. And now we have cameras. How many generations has what happened in Minneapolis gone on? How many police officers, like these police officers, went back to their precinct and said he was resisting arrest?
I have active Kundalini. My hands are needing to move. So that's what's going on with my hands. It's all the energy. Whew. And I'm just really, yes, starting to nod. Thank you, Connie, welcoming it. Meeting that, doing excellent. See what comes from here.
No one, how unions, the role of unions in this and how they protected this. These men had so many complaints against them. What are they doing on the streets? 18 complaints. And the fact that they knew they were on film. Amy Cooper knew she was on film. Film is not making a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's showing the rest of us, it's causing the rest of us to grieve for these people. It's those with a conscience, all of us with who have empathy in our hearts, understand empathy. The power of empathy is not getting through to these guys.
We meet that.
You know, those cameras are just for us. They're not for them.
Mm-hmm. Meet that.
They don't care. They don't care.
Meet that.
And I say this as a person who works with the police department all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
As a former mayor who used to have to worry about our police officers, you know, who could have easily been the mayor of Minneapolis
Mm-hmm.
in this terrible situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, you say it
Yeah,
from
I was
experience.
there. I was him. You know, for years I was him. I was running a city. You know, I was a city person. I was the face.
Mm-hmm. So you know.
Yeah, I totally know.
Be with that. You totally know. Welcome that. Just see what happens as you meet that, as you recognize that, as you own that, as you express that, as we witness that.
And then, once again, internalizing this, watching George Floyd's family get up and call for peace and and you're thinking, if this was my family member, I'd want the whole world to burn. I'd want the whole world to burn. The power of people who've been so wronged, the power of them being so peaceful and so understanding, the grace, their grace, their dignity. How, I don't know where it comes from. I just don't know where it comes from. Because if this was my brother, oh my God. The grace of the oppressed. Whew.
Yeah, meet that. Welcome that. Bow to that. Reverence to that.
Where does that come from?
Yeah. To that kind of grace. Bowing and meeting it. Awe of it. Respect of it. Confusion about it. Oh.
Sorry, I gotta hold my heart. Yeah, hold my heart again. Hold my heart again.
Yes, isn't it? Yes. Hold the heart. Hello, heart. Welcome the heart. You are welcome here. Look at their heart. Your heart responds to it. Bowing to the heart. Bowing to that grace. That true grace, right? Back to what religion and the faith would have been nice for it to be about, but you're finding it here in the grace and dignity of the oppressed. And your heart is responding.
And 42 million people out of work. 42 million people out of work. 42 million homes suffering. All these, who's going to recover and who's not? Who's going to be left behind for a decade? Who can't even call and say help? Or who's just suffering? All the domestic violence that is occurring now. All the kids are growing up without all the families that are suffering. This isn't the only suffering.
Yes. So meeting that. That concern, that heart, that outrage. Such a big heart. Concern about all these people, all these families. meet that and notice what unfolds from here.
100,000 people who had funerals like I did. 100,000 people who went to who had funerals. 100,000. It's too big for the brain to even comprehend. It's too big for the heart to comprehend.
Go to the heart. The brain can't comprehend. The heart can. Go to the heart. Comprehend is probably not the right word, but meet it. To meet it. That's the only thing that can. That poor brain is trying to figure it out. So just let the brain, it's okay, brain. This is not your territory. I know you have a huge heart. That's why you keep trying to do it. But your heart's not big enough. You have to go to the heart, who's got a brain. See if you can embody that heart and allow it to expand if it wants to expand. If it's been kind of compacted, see if there's a way that it can be released so that it can stretch out and go as big as it needs to go to actually be able to meet and encompass all of this. See what happens as you invite that heart to release, Connie. Even bigger. Not in the typical usual ways that we think of heart. And if there's anything that you can salvage from Christianity, the true message of the Sacred Heart, see if you can go into that kind of heart. Embody that. Where that is. Just inviting your heart to expand, to release, to unconstrict. And we're tapping into the heart of humanity, where your individual heart meets ancient, archetypical, huge heart. Just notice what's authentic for you.
Well, I'd like to go back to loving my country. That's what I'd like to do.
Okay, good.
I wish I could go back. I mean, what's it gonna take? What's it gonna take?
Yeah.
What's it gonna take not to have authentic love?
Mm-hmm.
Authentic love. I have love a place. Oh my God. I'll post, Christina, I'll post a picture of my beautiful garden and hashtag Black Birders Week. It's Black Birders Week. And I'm a black birder. I traveled the world. The picture behind me is me looking at giraffes, but I went to Africa to bird. The importance of the beauty of the environment, the beauty of where I live, and the ironic, as people are suffering from COVID, I'm watching beautiful plants and listening to beautiful birds and enjoying the fact that there's no smog overhead. And all the changes. I had a mountain lion in my front yard, guys. A mountain lion in my front yard. Oh my God. I got a message on Nextdoor, social media. Message on Nextdoor. Don't go outside in front. there's a mountain lion and it's headed into your backyard. All of this beautiful nature coming out.
That's what responds to your question. So
Yes.
that's where your consciousness goes. What's it going to take for an authentic heart and love of country? You get led. Your consciousness leads you to your garden, and it leads you to a mountain lion.
So much beauty, so much pain. It's
Mhm.
so much.
Yeah. So just meet that dichotomy. Here's the beauty. You got a garden and the mountain lion, and here's the pain.
Yeah. Tale of two countries, man.
Yeah.
Woo. Every day, trying every day to see the grace, see the wonder, every day, trying to write in the gratitude book.
Well, you are, but it's yes and, it's whole, right? It's unity, it's both. So it's not just this side, it's that side too. We're in the dual plane. We're doing a non-dual process, but we're still in a dual world. So now you're coming up against, oh, I just want it to be this, but it's yes and, it's both. So just welcoming that frustration around living on a dual plane and really just wanting one. And right now there's both. Just meeting that.
Doing some more tapping, gut tapping now, moving to the gut.
Yep. Yeah, it's embodying in the world, right? Right down in the first chakra. We're not in the spiritual planes. We're right here on planet Earth, where there's both. Tapping that gut, grounding it. See what happens as you meet it.
Well, right now, grateful for spaces like this. Grateful that all of you, I'm sure all of you need to do this, need to have a space like this, all of you. Seeing you all with your mics off and thinking how important your voices are too.
Yeah, and so understandably, the consciousness comes in of, I'm getting all the processing for me, and there's other people here.
Feeling selfish.
Yeah. So that shows up. Fair enough.
Feeling selfish.
Yeah. So just meet it. I can guarantee you that it's
feeling love for all of you.
A parallel processing experience, and it's such a gift. So
thank you for giving me strength. You guys are giving me so much strength.
And thank you to Connie. Thank you to Connie. To be able to hold the container for you to process. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, hearts back to you all too.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah. There's the hearts. Yeah. Where's the authentic heart? Okay, let's tap. Connie. Head, heart, and gut. We'll leave it here because that's what we're in. We're in the dual. For some damn reasons, our souls came to planet Earth at this time and has got both.
And you know, it's 2020, guys. It's 2020. You're the rat. Magical do-over. You know, all of these things. You know, the universe is saying it's the start of a new cycle. Maybe this all came up so we can focus our energy on what really needs to get fixed.
Yes, there you go.
Maybe maybe going back to the mind and the justification, maybe this is all a gift.
Yes.
how do we turn this into something? Maybe it's a gift, that it's all out there. It's not hidden anymore.
Yes.
How do we turn our grief into a gift?
By doing what you just did. And that brings you, now what emerges in your consciousness is the transformational process, right? Maybe what we're in is this process that is leading to this, is getting us out of this, that this is somehow a gift.
How do I share the privilege and the gratitude and conquer the grief? How do we change? How do we change? How do we remember the change happens within us first? Radiates from there. From there.
Yep. Gone full circle. And you doing the work within you. We'll see what happens from here as you go into your groups and do what you need to do. Having done this work, having done the change within.
Thank you, guys.
Still in process, still unfolding. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. All our lives matter. All our lives matter.
Let's welcome that, meet that. I'm going to invite us to do Cortices to help process and flow through Connie's beautiful, delicious, generous work. Head in the back of the head. Tap. Just nice and gently. Go at your own pace, and when you're ready, moving the head up, hand up. Just thanking for the work we have been witness to and participating in and holding space for. And we bow to that. I haven't been able to track chats as we've been going along, but there's all sorts of stuff that's been happening all the way in the chat, Connie, as people have been resonating with the different things that you've been tapping into and bringing forth. We will have a record at the chat, so we'll be able to share that, and you'll be able to see that if you care to after the fact. I want to open it up for others who have been so graciously holding space. And anybody who would like to share and comment, anything you want to say to Connie, anything you want to say to the group, anything you notice within yourself, feel free to unmute and share and report out.
Connie, I just want to say thank you. This is what I was hoping to have today. I was written something that was on my mind while this was going on, and it's not about me. But it's about what I've been through for the last, year, And it was just, I was hoping to hear, because I've been in a cave for the last 9 or 10 months, and helping to take care of my elderly mom who was, you know, declining. She was dying. And so there was lots of energy and attention that went that way. And she passed away the same day George was murdered, and that he left this earth. And I was telling Christina what the contrast was between the two of them. And we had a peaceful event for my mother. And then I wake up Tuesday morning and this is the news. And I just didn't know how to wrap my head around it. And hearing you, my gosh, it's like you pulled out everything that I wanted to hear or articulate. I can't even put to words what you've done, and everything you said. I was taking notes, and I'm feeling the same thing you're feeling. It's like, how do I help where it will make a difference? I just thank you so much for what you've done for us, and my heart's burdened for them, but he's a big guy is what I'm thinking, not just physically. I was telling Christine, I just think that this is just so big. It's more than I can wrap my head around, but this inquiry today is such a good start. And you are so brave. I appreciate all you do and your intelligence to be able to share with us. And that's what I got.
Thank you, Pat. Beautifully expressed. We just share our love and support to you with the passing of your mom and the journey you've been on this year. I so appreciate and love you, Pat. Thank you. Anything anybody else would like to share?
I would like to share that I appreciate you, Christina, for being able to so gracefully yourself hold space for us as humans to try to process, you know, all the different layers that we're experiencing. And I also appreciate you, Connie, for acknowledging your own privilege and the grief that you're holding. I'm a university professor too, and I'm getting ready to retire, and it feels to me like this is the perfect time for me to become more activistic in my work and help use that grief and anger and privilege all together to create that kind of transformation. And so I just feel honored to have been here witnessing this today, and it's helping me to process my own grief and my own anger. And so I'm grateful for everyone that's energetically holding this and the processes that you've used, Christina, to help us navigate. So thank you.
Thank you, Jude. So my honor.
Yeah, thank you, Christina. This is not what your first email of the year said you were going to do this year. Pivoted on a dime, my girlfriend.
Well, this is my version of being in sabbatical in India, isn't it? even better and more important. And again, an honor. This is, I'm writing another e-zine at the moment, so you'll see it soon enough. But yeah, there's a big pivot happening, and this is what it is. Yeah. Clarity has emerged for me. Brenda, I'm in Spirit Bay. It beckons you.
Space for me.
I'm waiting for my neighbor to arrive. I will be sharing this in the e-zine, but I moved to a community about 15 minutes away from where my art studio is, so I'm closer to the water, and it's literally called Spirit Bay. So, which is symbolic, literal and symbolic for me. Yeah, and gives me that ground and support and environment to be able to do, you know, important stuff that we're doing today. Yeah. And Brenda's the one who hooked me up with the particular place that I'm now moved into. Yeah.
Mine's the yellow house up the road. Well, there's many yellow houses.
There are, yeah.
1109 Spirit Bay Road.
On Spirit Bay Road. Yeah, I'm on Sunset Point.
I don't know when, but I'll see you.
Yeah, I'm glad you'll be there soon.
As my mic is off, I want to say I'm really working on silence and listening, because that's what I hear, the message, to listen, to learn, and especially sitting in that place of light-skinned privilege and learning and doing. We had started work last week before this tragedy happened, or the week before, about how we can bring youth together in reconciliation in our own community. So we're holding that space for youth, Indigenous, non-Indigenous youth in our communities, to come together and to learn from each other and teach the adults how to embrace those teachings, so the next generation doesn't need to suffer as much. Thank you. I'm honored to be sitting on the land of Anishinaabe for the Ojibwe people. So I've learned in the language to say miigwech, and it's so much more than thank you. It comes from our hearts. So I say miigwech to all of you for being here today and holding the love in this circle.
Miigwech, Brenda.
Brenda, I say Ayukit Kui, and I'm on the land of the Wiyot people. So, Ayukui is actually Yurok. They're the tribe to the north, but Ayukui is the greeting we have here.
I agree.
So.
I'm seeing chats or notes happening in chats as people are needing to close out but saying their goodbyes. Definitely a great way to do it. Anybody else you'd like to say goodbye or closing comments before we part? Feel free to unmute your mic and do so. Going once, going twice. Go for it, Lynn.
I love what Brenda was saying about being in silence and listening. Definitely the space I'm in today. It's hard to find my words now, except just to say, Connie, I'm so grateful to you for your friendship. Christina, I'm grateful for your witness, for all of us being together. There are just so many layers to unpack and process, and it is ongoing work forever, as long as we have breath in our bodies. humble.
I hope you could hear some of that. There was static. Was it static for you, but the message you could still receive? Yeah, I can see Connie nodding. Great. Thank you, Lynn. Yeah. Okay. That's who we are at this moment in time. Thank you all for coming. You are on the official list for the process groups. You should be receiving emails each week. Check your spam filters, especially if you're Gmail, because it tends to end up in there. Only a one-time sign up. You can unsubscribe at any time, right? But you'll continue to receive no's until you tell us you don't want to. For anybody who is watching the recording, these are offered usually on a weekly basis. Again, you'll see underneath the video is a link to where you can register if you want to join us live. Blessings, everybody. Take good care. Be well, and see you when I next see you. Bye.